Good morning again. We can go ahead and get started. We're right at the top of the hour. I know we have some other folks continuing to join here, but out of respect for everybody's time, I thought we'd go ahead and kick things off. So this session is one of the more popular webinar sessions that we've done. Got great feedback on the session as we've given it previously, and thought it would be a great session to repeat again. So I want to thank you all for joining us, and hopefully you get a lot out of today's session. Just to cover some logistics, we are using GoToWebinar today. You will be able to ask questions, and to do that, you simply type your question into the question area of your GoToWebinar client software. Or you can raise your hand as well. We'll have people monitoring that in case you have any difficulties throughout the presentation. But please, very interactive. Feel free to ask questions. A lot of times that stimulates some really good conversation. So if you do have a question, please feel free to type it in, and we'll be taking those in line, as well as leaving some time at the end to be able to address those questions as well. So I am Dave Buggy with Behringer Associates. Based on the attendee list, I think most of you know who I am at this point, but if not, I am a Vice President and Partner at Behringer Associates, and we are an implementation firm for Microsoft Dynamics CRM. And we've been implementing CRM solutions for about 15 years at this point. So I'd like to think we've been around the block in implementing CRM solutions and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And today I'm here to share a lot of great information with you on what we've seen over the years and some things I think that you'll be very interested in as we go through the presentation today. Feel free to jot down my contact info if you'd like to follow up after today's event. Would certainly love to talk to you more about any of the topics that, that you have on mind after today's event. So in the information for the session, we had some questions around, are you a good leader or are you a great leader? And good leaders, ask good questions, and great leaders know the answers, or at least where to find them. I love that comment because that is very telling about leadership. And what we see in a lot of organizations, especially prior to implementing something like a CRM system, is that sales leaders, and marketing for that matter, can be flying blind because there isn't really good sales data that they have to work off of. So if you're struggling to understand your sales rep's performance, if you're trying to figure out how to crush your sales quota, these can all be things that can be addressed by the proper implementation and use of a CRM system. So I'd be curious to know, out of those of you that are on the call today, how many of you actually have a CRM system in place? So if you take a second to go ahead and fill out our poll there, we'd greatly appreciate that feedback just to know kind of where everybody's at in terms of their adoption of CRM in general. All right. So I wanted to start off talking about some sales trends that are widely published. You can find a lot of information about these trends out on the internet, but CRM usage is in decline for the first time in 15 years, and that's a pretty telling statistic, and there are some reasons why that is. The recession that started back in 2008 was a real wake-up call to organizations across the country. People really buckled down. They took a look at their sales efforts and sales process and so forth, and really made some great progress and great strides in how sales organizations are run. And following that, there were 4 straight years of improvement, sales improvement thereafter. So that was the good news. The bad news is that in 2012, the sales performance leveled off. Sales performance now is in decline for about 3 years in a row, and these are based on national polls and averages that have been done over the last couple of years. So right now marks a great opportunity for those who can go against this trend and really take advantage and harness the technology that's available for sales organizations today and really ingrain that into your sales process and use that to grow your sales organization overall. Just go ahead and close our poll out here. So CRM and process adoption can be a huge factor in growing a sales organization and being able to meet goals and so forth. If you think about how hard it is today with all the information that's floating around our organizations, if you don't have a centralized tool that you can use to assimilate that information in usable manners, and that's probably one of the keys there is to make that information usable, it can be very difficult to grow a sales organization. There's just so much going on today, and everybody is so busy that having one tool that you go to that's the heartbeat of your sales organization can absolutely be a big factor in growing sales in general. So there's a company out there called CSO Insights, and I've followed them for a lot of years. I actually know the principals there personally, and they've been around the CRM space for a long, long time, as have I. And they're a sales research organization. So again, the company name is CSO Insights, which stands for Chief Sales Officer. And the information that we're going to look at here is a combination of information from CSO Insights and also from Forbes.com that published one of their surveys. And every year they survey a couple thousand sales organizations across different industries, and they're able to break these organizations into one of 4 or 5 levels. And it's based on how you're running your sales organization today. So I wanted to step through that because I think this is very impactful, and you can find a lot of great information about this out on CSO Insights website. And as I said, Forbes has some of this published, and a lot of other sources out on the internet as well. So kind of a basic level sales organization would be a level 1. And that means that they don't really have a formal sales process, and they have limited to no formal sales management tools in place today. Level 2, you move up. There may be somewhat of an informal or ad hoc sales process in place that may have limited adoption and also limited sales management tools. In level 2, we find that there are tools available, but people are using them differently. Different people are using different tools, so not necessarily a centralized sales and marketing tool. Level 3, you progress a little bit further. At this point, you've got a formal sales process, got a formal sales and sales management tool in place. Level 4 is a very dynamic sales process, and obviously a sales and sales management tool in place in level 4. And at the bottom here, you'll see that based on these studies year over year, that how the numbers change based on what level sales organization that a company currently falls into, right? So look at things like percent of reps making quota and how those numbers climb across the different levels of sales organizations. And there are a few in here that are really telling and very interesting. One is around the forecast and percent of wins based on their forecast, and look how those numbers climb. You look at the losses, they decline. No decisions are less in the more advanced sales organizations. And then also sales rep turnover as well is less. I'd like to think because the reps are more effective, they're more happy, and so forth. So I'd also like to know, as we go through today's session, where you feel that you fall in terms of these levels. So take a look at those for a minute and kind of self-assess and be honest, and kind of just let us know where you feel that your sales organization falls today. And this information is not traceable back to you, so I don't know who's pushing which button here, so no worries on this information being shared. That certainly won't happen. So I appreciate your feedback on that. So I like to call today's session Management 2.0 because it's a different way of looking at how you may run your sales teams. And I hope that you get some great ideas out of the session today and you're able to take those back and apply those to your organization. So we'll go ahead and close the poll down. Thank you for your information there, by the way. So what you're going to see today is a demonstration system that includes a lot of great data that can become very important in trying to progress to those next levels of sales organization. And I just wanted to give you some framework by which, where is this system coming from? So this is a system that we're going to look at that's integrated with the back-end ERP or accounting or line of business system, right? So in CRM, we're bringing a lot of information in, a lot of customer information. We're bringing in information about orders and invoices and quotes and a lot of item-level data, a lot of sales analysis, and so forth. And again, to move up those levels, you really have to have a tool like this in place. So the platform that we use to integrate CRM, Microsoft CRM, and back-end ERP or accounting systems is a service that we call DataSync Cloud. So that is a cloud-based data subscription platform. So it's internet-based. There's no hardware or software to buy or maintain. And it's a near real-time type of integration platform. So it synchronizes information to and from ERP in a very near real-time fashion. So you'll see down here that you've got your ERP or your line of business system, you've got our Data Sync Cloud service in the middle, and then you've got your CRM, and data can be bidirectional here, going, both directions. So if you do have some interest in integrating your CRM system or enhancing an integration that you already have in place, we've got a great platform for that. Very low cost. It's a flat rate of $500 per month. There's no caps on the amount of data. There's no per user cost. Now, of course, there may be implementation services and other things that may surround that, but the service itself is a very affordable one. So let's talk first about analyzing information. So much of running a sales organization today requires good information, and analysis of that information. Really, to take that one step further, is to be able to put that information to work for you. And I think this is a topic that not only applies to sales management, but it's a topic that applies to anybody that's in the sales organization. Everybody needs data today. Everybody needs good data, and everybody needs that data to be actionable. So there are a couple phenomenal tools built right into Dynamics CRM that you're able to leverage to better understand patterns and trends and things in your company, and just really overall better tools to be able to analyze your information. So a couple years back, Microsoft added to CRM Online the ability to integrate with Excel right inside of Dynamics CRM. So you never even need to leave Dynamics CRM to analyze your data in Excel. And there's some great features with that. One is that not only can you analyze the information, but you're able to also update data from the Excel view in CRM and have it write those updates back to the CRM system. So if you want to pull down a list of records and maybe you want to update a field across those records, it's a super simple process with the Excel Online integration. And by the way, Excel Online is the version of Excel that runs in a web browser. It is part of Microsoft's Office 365 platform, so it is a little bit different than the Excel if you have Excel installed locally on your machine. But those of you that are Office 365 customers, you definitely have access to Excel Online through Office 365. So with this integration, another thing that you're able to do is to build Excel templates that you can use over and over again. And I've got one that's a sales pipeline template that we're going to look at here in a second. And then we'll talk about the other methods of being able to work with Excel and Dynamics CRM as well. So let me just pull up. I'm going to pause my screen here and pull up my CRM system. Give me just a second to do that. All right. All right, here we go. So we are in our demonstration system here for Dynamics CRM, and as I said, this is one that is fully integrated with an ERP system, so you're going to see some great data here. And again, if you're interested in getting this type of integration put in place, certainly reach out. We do this all the time for our clients. So I'm just going to go over here, and I'm going to pop into the sales area, and I'm going to go into opportunities. So I've got a list here of different opportunities. I could highlight a number of these opportunities, or I could highlight them all, or I could even do a query and look very specifically for certain types of opportunities. I could look for opportunities we've won, opportunities we've lost, opportunities that are open. But what I wanted to show you is how easy it is to analyze this information in Excel. So you can see here that I've got a couple options for utilizing Excel. And I'm going to go ahead and use Excel Online, and I'm going to use that template called Pipeline Management. Okay. So what you're going to see here is that notice that I'm not leaving Dynamics CRM. I'm still sitting within the opportunity area of Dynamics CRM, and it's simply taking my data and it's pulling it into Excel within the CRM interface. And you can see it creates a really nice, useful spreadsheet here that's got charts and graphs and so forth embedded right within Dynamics CRM. And then down here is the list of records that that I'm working with that I selected. So I could come in here and I could update different information here, and I could actually write those changes back to Microsoft CRM. The other way is that you don't need a template. You can just go out and you can grab the information that you want. Again, that can be based on a query, and you can come over here and you can work with that information in Excel Online, or you can also, if you have Excel installed locally, you're able to pull that data right into Excel on your, that's installed on your PC. You've got a couple options. You can do dynamic worksheets, which they have a query inside the worksheet. So every time you open that worksheet, if you save it, it's going to refresh the data, or there's a button right inside the spreadsheet that you can press at any point in time to refresh your data from CRM as well. So it's kind of like building your own template, and it's very useful. Or again, I could open in online. So really, really good, powerful analysis tools with Dynamic CRM today, and they've just done some great work around being able to pull data into tools like Excel and really get use out of your data. So let me go ahead and we'll go back to our presentation here. And I'll skip through to the next slide. All right, so another option that you have for analyzing information is the inbuilt dashboards within Dynamic CRM. If you're a user of the system that's been on the system for a while, you remember that back in earlier versions of Dynamic CRM, dashboarding's been there, boy, since early versions. I think even version 4 had some dashboarding. 2011 obviously had dashboarding, but they really just greatly enhanced the dashboarding capabilities overall in version 2013, and they've just continued to enhance that throughout the years. So you've got some really good functionality related to dashboarding inside CRM now. And they can be full-page dashboards. They can be inline dashboards, inline with records. Very simple to build basic dashboards in CRM. It's actually not even that difficult to build pretty dashboards in Dynamic CRM today. It's part of the training that we deliver to our clients is building dashboards and editing dashboards and so forth. The dashboards are all pretty much drill down capable within the system. So you could start from a very high level, and I'm going to show you what that looks like here in a second. So we'll go out to our pipeline. You can start from a really high level and look at a dashboard here for pipelines. Let me just pull up my pipeline dashboard. So I'm looking at a very high level view right now of where our pipeline is and what dollars fall into different areas of the pipeline here. But I could drill down into that, and now it's showing me records that are in this sales stage. And then I could, drill into an individual record. So within 3 clicks, I started from an exceptionally high-level view of our pipeline, and I was able to drill down with 2 clicks and get all the way to the point where I could look at an individual sales opportunity. So the drill-down capabilities within the product are just fantastic. Another tool that you have at your disposal is just views in CRM as well. And views are just subsets of your data from the database. So when you're looking at CRM, this is a view. This is the open opportunities view, right? So these are ones that are pre-built and come with the product. However, you're able to easily build your own. So you could take one of these views and you could edit it and then save it as your own version of that view. Or it's really simple to build a view in the tool just by going into the Advanced Find tool and doing your query here based on the type of records that you're looking for. So I could, get to any field here on any entity. I can even link entities together. So even though I'm looking at opportunities here, maybe I also want to, look at maybe something from the customer account record, right? Because those two are linked, the opportunity and the account. So you have access that you can certainly kind of link those two areas of the system together and query on both. So basically, you just build your query, and when you're done, you can save it, and you can even share these with other users. So if you're a sales manager, you're able to go in and build some views and save them and publish them out to your users, and they would benefit from those views as well. So I'll show you a view that I always like to kind of use to highlight this. It's a view that we have in our tool, in our integration tool, that analyzes sales by item or item group, okay? So when you're looking at sales of items and things like that, you're now able to look at a view here that summarizes your items and looks at your sales year over year and month over month, which is just fantastic data to have at your fingertips, right? So I can see any one of these item groups, and I can see what their sales are month to date. I can look at the profit month to date. I can look at the year-to-date sales of that item group. I can look at year-to-date profit, and I can look at last year as well. So I can do some really nice year-over-year comparisons of this information. And this is all, again, information pulled from the ERP system. So this view in our product actually goes back all the way to a rolling 24-month perspective. So you've always got at least 24 full months of data on things like this. Our integration product provides, full 2-year history. So this could also be exported to Excel, by the way. So anywhere you see a list of records in CRM, you can just highlight those records, and you can now push that right out to Excel and further analyze that information. Okay. Another tool that you may or may not be aware of and familiar with is Power BI. This is a tool that, it's a Microsoft tool. So Power BI is a tool that Microsoft developed as a business intelligence tool. It's fully integrated with Dynamics CRM, and it's actually integrated with a lot of other systems out there as well, quite a few integrations that they have available today. You can also use it with other data sources. You can use it with a simple Excel spreadsheet, right? So if you pull a whole bunch of information out of a system, maybe your ERP system, you can actually pull that data into Power BI and use Power BI on top of that data. It also has a mobile version, so everybody's mobile today. So you're able to analyze information and access the Power BI platform from your mobile device, which would be a smartphone or a tablet. One neat feature I like about Power BI that I'll show you here in a second is that you're able to ask questions and get answers from the Power BI tool. And this is something, by the way, that you could take away from our session today and start using right away. There's a free version available if you just go to the Power BI website. Right in the middle of the website, it has a Get Started for Free link. You literally click on that, and within, I'm going to say 2 minutes, you'll have it connected to your CRM online instance and be seeing your CRM data within Power BI. If you have an on-premise version of Dynamics CRM, you can still use Power BI. It just requires a little bit more configuration, and we can absolutely help you with that. So let us know if you would like some help there. So I'm just going to go over and I'm going to open up Power BI. This is also a product that comes within the Microsoft Office 365 tool. So if you already have Office 365, you may want to check. You might already have Power BI licenses. And if you don't, you can certainly add them to your Office 365 subscription quite easily. So this is bolted up to my demonstration system. Again, the configuration of this took literally about 2 minutes. And they come with a sales dashboard that I'm looking at here. So your first dashboard, you don't even need to do much to. It'll show up automatically once you have the data connection from Power BI to CRM. You can see that we've got some great information here. We've got, what's our revenue in the last 12 months. We've got how many leads in the last 90 days have been put in the system. We've got leads by source. We've got our lead conversion rate. We've got our win rate on opportunities. And we're going to talk about this data and how important it is to know these things when running a sales organization. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Then you've even got some inline types of views here for individual records. Your top 10 opportunities, for example, is on this dashboard. You can even link in external websites, mapping, so you could take your revenue and map it geographically, so you could see where your concentrations of highest revenue are. You maybe want to map your leads on your dashboard and so forth. Extremely powerful tool. We won't go too far into this tool today. This could be a whole section just on Power BI, but if you'd like some help getting started with this tool, by all means, let us know. Again, one of the neat things I like about Power BI is that you can just ask it a question. So I could come in here and I could say, what's our win rate on opportunities in, the last 12 months? And it will follow me along and actually give me the answers to the questions that I'm typing in, and it's a natural language type of question engine. So really, really powerful. Now, obviously, these things have to all be built out on the back end, but Microsoft's done most of that work for you. So when you download the Power BI connection to CRM and you put it in place, it has most of what you would need. So really, really good tool. Definitely encourage you to take a look at that tool if you haven't already. And if you just go to the Power BI website, there is a free version and a free trial that you can use to get started with that. So highly encourage you to take a look at that if you haven't seen it before. All right. So let's continue to move forward. There's an area in Dynamics CRM that I feel is one of the underutilized but most powerful versions of the Dynamics CRM system, and it's around goal management. So everybody that's running a team or even individuals wanting to track their progress against goals that they're setting for themselves need a way to do that. So within Dynamics CRM, you all have access to goal management. It was put in the product quite a long time ago. So you definitely have access to this, and you probably see it right within your navigation within CRM. The goal management module lets you define goals based on almost anything in the system. So a couple examples here of some goals that I've worked with my clients to create is around sales calls. So maybe you want your reps making a certain number of sales calls, meaning sales visits or sales phone calls in a weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly type of period, right? So you could easily track that. You could easily track leads created. So maybe you have a goal amongst your sales team that you would like them to create a certain amount of brand new net new leads in a certain period of time. So that's easy to track via this module. Opportunity dollars. So, you know, an important component of forecasting and meeting goals is to figure out what the right amount of opportunity dollars is to have. So some, you know, kind of long-standing statistics around that are 3 to 5 times your goal. So if you have $1 million revenue goal for your team, then $3 million to $5 million would typically be what you need in your pipeline to be able to get, you know, within range of meeting that goal. So you could absolutely track, you know, opportunity dollars and are people on target with what they need in their pipeline to be able to meet goals. You could base goals on activities, on quote dollars, especially if, you know, you're on our integration and we're bringing quotes in, let's say, from your ERP system, then that data is going to be fed automatically, right? There's nothing you would even need to do to be able to manage goals around those numbers. And then also in book sales, obviously, kind of where the rubber hits the road. So let's go over and let's jump into CRM here, and let's go over into the goal management module. So what you'll see here is a number of different goals, and again, this is just a demonstration system, so some of this might not look extremely accurate, but nonetheless gives you a really good idea of what this module is going to do for you. So you can see here that I've got goals established for different people on the team. You can also establish goals for an entire team, or let's say a region, maybe a territory. And it's really simple to create these. You're basically telling it what area of the system that you'd like to base a goal on. So if I go into new here, you just give it a name. If there's a parent to this goal, so if you need parent-child relationships, it supports that. You can have who owns this goal, which is typically the person that you're assigning this goal to. And then you have a goal metric, which you'd create as well, which could be, you know, for example, how many appointments get created or how many dollars and opportunities get created. That's the metric that's going to feed this goal. So not at all difficult to create these. Again, if you need some help with this, reach out. We can absolutely help you get started with this. What I like about this is it's, you know, kind of a set it. I wouldn't say set it and forget it because you want to monitor this, but you can set it and the system will take over then and continually monitor your team's progress toward their goals. So I can look at any one of these goals that are established here, and over on the right here, you're going to see what % achievement has been achieved against this particular goal. So you can see this top one, we've got 180% achievement, which is fantastic. So the target was 10. The user that this goal was assigned to actually created 18 of these opportunities, so they're at 180% achievement. You can also have notifications that happen when people meet their goals or whether they're substantially behind their goal, right? So that would help as well, just sending out some notifications to the people on the team that, hey, great job, you know, you've achieved over 100% achievement towards this goal, congratulations. So it's a great way to continue to foster momentum with the system. A lot of people love to have kind of a scorecard or a report card that they work off of, and this is just an excellent way that you can give them that. And it also creates some competition, I think, a lot of times, you know, amongst the sales team, which, you know, I don't think is ever a bad thing. So really, really powerful area of the system. And then, of course, you've got dashboards and charts and so forth that you can use to manage these. I have an entire goal management chart that I work off of, so I'll go out and show you an example of that. If I scroll down here and grab my goal management chart, you can have all the goal, you know, reporting and statistics done within one simple dashboard. So I can come in here, I can look at where my team is across every goal that we've identified and where they're at in terms of achievement and so forth, all from one screen. So just a fantastic way to manage goals in general. All right. So talk about leads. You know, we've seen a big change in the way that leads are now happening in businesses, or at least in a lot of businesses. So kind of also like to know, as we go down into this area, how many touches do you feel that on average, nationwide, it takes for a rep to convert a lead and qualify it to a sales opportunity today? And we're going to talk about this a little bit because this is pretty important. But give me your feedback on that if you could. I'll launch the poll here. I'd love to know what your thoughts are there. So, you know, what we've seen change is that back, you know, before the economic downturn, most businesses that I talked to, they were in a lot of cases working off just incoming leads or incoming opportunity, right? So there was a lot happening in the economy. A lot of people were spending money. You know, sales was up. Things were heated up in the economy, and everybody, you know, was getting a lot of inbound lead flow, it seemed. And again, this may not be every business, but you know, based on averages, that's what you know, I certainly feel was happening. When the economic downturn happened, everybody started watching what they're spending and really only, you know, spending on very necessary things. Unfortunately, that's never recovered to the level it was prior to 2008. And a lot of economists say that it's not going to. So the key here being that every lead that you have the opportunity to have, you want to make sure that those leads are worked fully and that you're not giving up any opportunity to engage that lead. So thank you for your feedback. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. And those of you that entered 5 to 8, you are correct. So they're saying that today that it takes about 5 to 8 follow-ups, because if you think about it in your own daily work life, you're so busy, and you might have 10 minutes to go out and research something, you know, that you're working on, right? You make a few inquiries, and your phone rings, and you're off to, you know, another priority. Well, during that time, you might have, you know, a sales rep from the company that you were researching give you might be busy. So you weren't able to get to their call, they leave a voicemail, they send an email. Who knows, it could be weeks before you get back to that, you know, that endeavor that you originally started, right? Are you going to remember that one company that reached out to you one time? Probably not, right? So it does take a number of touches today, and again, the industry averages 5 to 8, to turn a new lead into a customer. I'm looking at it more from an opportunity perspective. And what's interesting is that even today, 44% of sales reps give up after one or a couple follow-ups. So we got a problem there, right? I mean, that's a huge disconnect. 35 to 50% of sales go to the vendor who responds first. So again, think about your own daily, you know, workload. When you're out and you're researching something and you have a need, you know, to buy a product or a service, you've got a lot on your plate. You're out on the internet. You make a couple searches. Maybe you engage with a company or two. The person that calls you back first, that engages in a good conversation with you, is typically going to be a much better position to get your business than people that wait to follow up. And that's a very compelling statistic, that 35 to 50% of those new sales go to the vendor who responds first. Today, if you're getting leads off the web, if you respond to a lead within 5 minutes, you're 9 times more likely to convert that lead. And this is all information coming from some top research organizations like Inside Sales and HubSpot as well. Just very, very interesting, and I think very telling. So how do you manage that? Well, if we jump over into the CRM system, CRM has a phenomenal lead management module. So if I go out here, I'm now looking at all the leads that we have open in the system, and I could look at them, you know, for different reps and lots of different ways I could look at this information. But this is our lead management module, and this is where a lead first, you know, should be put into the system. You can get leads into your system either by manually entering them, you just hit new here, or you can integrate CRM with your website. So if you're getting, you know, if you're doing pay-per-click and maybe doing some blogging and some other things, and you're getting people inquiring off the internet, a great way to get them into your system is to just have it integrated, so when they fill out a form on your website, it automatically puts that lead in CRM for you, okay? So let's look up a lead here. Look up Ivan. And there's a lot of things here that that you have access to, a lot of good tools and a lot of good information. The first one here is the lead sales tool up here in the top. It's the process flow. And what this allows you to do is to build the process that you want reps to follow to qualify a lead. And there can be different stages, so you can see this as a qualify stage, has a develop stage, and these are locked, these stages, until they complete all the required steps in the previous stage. So it's a great way to give a rep a graphical process that they can use and require them to do certain steps as they qualify a lead. In the middle here, you've got, and this is CRM 2013 and higher, you have this activity feed in the middle of the screen here. I absolutely love this one little area of CRM because it allows me to look at a record, whether it be a lead, a customer, a sales opportunity, a quote, and look at what's happened within this record, right? So it's a reverse chronological order, most recent to oldest. So I can see that, Dave spoke to Ivan, gave a price on an item, got a call requesting pricing, met Ivan at a trade show. You'll see emails in here, and really all the activity that's happening you'll see within this one view here, which I absolutely love. So you'll be able to know whether the lead's being followed up on or not at a glance. Over here, we've added a few custom fields that I think are very important. One is, when was this lead last touched by the sales rep? So I can see that this lead hasn't been touched since 4/25, that it's been 29 days since anybody touched this lead, and that right now they've only logged 2 different touches to this lead. So what does that tell me? Well, that tells me that this lead is not being followed up on because it's still open, right? And it hasn't been touched in 29 days. So these pieces of information here can be absolutely paramount to making sure that your team is working through those 5 to 8 follow-ups that they're going to need to convert lead over to an opportunity. You can also have workflow on these. In my own CRM system, when a lead comes off the web, the rep that I assign it to has to go in and accept and update that lead within an hour. And if they don't, the system automatically notifies that they have not done that. So if I get those, then I'll call the rep and see why they haven't been able to reach out and determine if I need to get another sales rep assigned to that lead so that we can get that follow-up done. Ideally, we'd like that follow-up to be immediate, within 5 minutes. Okay? So you can have workflow running on top of any of these KPIs or business rules that you have to make sure that you're getting notified if things are not being done that should be done. Okay. So talking about what are some of the barriers and where are your leads at? If you don't have a CRM system, it's really, really, really difficult to track this. If you do, it's easier, but if you're not putting the data to work for you, it may not be that easy to track these, right? So if your reps aren't, if your user adoption among your sales team with CRM is not great, then you're still not going to be at the level that you need to be able to do the things that I've shown you because your people just aren't entering the information. So user adoption is absolutely paramount, and can really get you to move up through those levels, those levels of sales process that we looked at before by having your team totally buy in and use the CRM system to its max. So every lead that comes in, you've got to maximize it today. They just aren't as plentiful as they used to be. Timely follow-up is critical. Are they working, your reps, are they working through a full follow-up process? Do you even have a sales process? Do you have a qualification process? There's a lot of good, to having a process. One of them is that you don't waste time and effort and money working on leads that maybe aren't a good fit for you, right? So if you've got a good follow-up and a good qualification process, it's going to help both qualify in or qualify out before you spend a whole lot of time only to realize that, that prospect, probably isn't the best fit for your business. Another metric that I find very important that you can get super easy out of CRM is what are your lead conversion rates? So think about, looking at lead conversion rates based on lead source. So that might differ, right? So your web leads that are coming in might have a much less or lower level qualification rate or conversion rate than maybe referrals, right? The lead that you get from people that or referrals. So conversion rates are really important to look at, and I look at them across my whole sales team, so I know my conversion rate amongst every rep, and then I also look at it based on lead source as well. So some really good information that you should look at. Another great tool that this comes by way of the marketing automation tool that we recommend for Dynamic CRM called Click Dimensions. If you're familiar with it, I'm sure you'd agree that it's a phenomenal marketing automation platform. And one of the pieces of functionality that they have is nurturing, which is also synonymous with drip marketing. You know, if you think about what happens, that you assign a sales lead to a rep. Typically, they're going to follow up on that lead. What happens, though, is if they don't engage the lead in those 5 to 8 attempts, after that, it kind of falls off their radar, right? So if you can utilize something like nurture marketing to keep your name out in front of that prospect, as well as dripping them relevant information over a period of time, when they come back to that task, right, and the reason that they contacted you initially, when they come back to that, you're going to be top of mind with that organization. So this is just an example screenshot from a nurture campaign that I built for a trade show that I was attending. And I did an email campaign to the attendees of that trade show, and I think it was about 2 weeks before the event, basically saying, hey, I'm going to be there, would love to talk to you. It then waited 7 days, and the week before it sent another email out to that list. And then, it went through a multi-step process here to keep information flowing out to the prospects that were attending that trade show over about a 6-month period of time. So very, very effective. Of course, you don't want to overdo it, and you want to be as targeted as possible when you do this, because if you're sending people information that's not relevant to them, it's probably the best way to get ignored or even blocked by those people today. Everybody they get so much information today. So another question, what do you think might be the 2 worst days and times to call on customers and prospects? And this is something that's important to know, and it's something important for your sales team to know too, again, so they're not wasting time and effort and doing call downs on days that are not effective. Well, the answer to that is Mondays from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., which you can imagine, right? You come in Monday, you've got a lot queued up, you've got stuff from the previous week that you didn't get done, you've got stuff now for the new week that you need to get done. Everybody's typically pretty busy on Monday mornings. The other one is Friday afternoon, which you can understand why that might be as well, right? Everybody's kind of checked out for the week, or they're taking time off. We're getting into vacation season. So not recommended to do call downs or telemarketing, or telecalls or telesales during those 2 times. So good information to share. So let's talk about pipeline and forecast management. So I found this pretty interesting. I want to also get your feedback here. What would you guess is the nationwide average accuracy of a sales forecast today? So I'd be curious to see what you think there, so give me your feedback on that if you could. I think you might be surprised at the answer here, but think about it in your own business. If you look at your forecast, generally, how accurate would you feel that forecast is? And this is based on survey of a few thousand companies nationwide. We'll get some feedback there and give it another couple seconds here for anybody else that wants to give us our feedback. So it looks like most everybody is saying around 40%. About half of the people on the webinar here are saying it's about 40% is the accuracy, and you would be very close. It's about 45%. So flipping a coin might be just as accurate as most people's forecast today. Pretty scary. All right, so talk about what are some of the key metrics to know about your pipeline. These are all things that you can get out of CRM very, very easily. One is around sales cycle time. I'm really surprised sometimes at the organizations that don't really know what their sales cycle time is on average, as well as when they win and when they lose. And when I help customers analyze that, what you'll almost always find is that the times that you lose, the sales cycle time is longer than when you win. Okay, so that makes sense. But you're spending a lot of time and effort there in opportunities that aren't closing. So it's very important to know that when you pass your average sales cycle, and maybe you need to look at it in terms of, maybe it's different by territory, maybe it's different by product, but you should definitely know what your average sales cycle times are. You should definitely also know about win-loss. So some important statistics around win-loss: if you sell repetitively into your customers, one important win-loss factor is what is your win-loss within that particular account. That could be very, very important, right? Because we all have those accounts that may tend for a lot of quotations or a lot of product information, but they may not be buying all that much. So you're spending a lot of effort there, and I think it would help going into one of those situations that you know what your win-loss is within that account. Also, competitive win-loss. So how do you stack up against your competition? How effective are you at competing with the different competitors that you have in market? You should also win-loss, you should know that by rep and by territory, and also potentially by product and vendor line. So let me just jump over here and give me a second to go over into our customer accounts area. All right. So what you're able to do quite easily is to put your win-loss right on the customer record. Now, maybe you don't want everybody to see that, but I think that would be something that would be really beneficial for sales for sure, is to know, what is your win-loss within your individual customer account. So you can see here that we've got some great information right at a glance here. So we've got what's our open opportunity within this account. So we've got 185K in open opportunity here. What's our open quote dollars? Again, that's being fed from the ERP system. How much have we won in quotes and in opportunities? And what's our lifetime opportunity and lifetime quote dollars, right? So you can also very easily here add just a percentage of win-loss here within this account, and that could be based on quotes, could be based on sales opportunities, or a combination of both. So very easy to do that, and that would give you some really good information. But really, to get the information that we were talking about, the data is all there. If you're working off of either quotes or you're working off of sales opportunities, again, it goes back to user adoption, that your people have to be using the system and inputting the data and closing their quotes and opportunities in the system, to really make this work. But you're able to see very easily, what were sales cycle days, what's the win-loss, and so forth. Let's go back to our presentation. All right. So do you have a sales process? Back when we looked at the level of different sales organizations, and all of them talked about a sales process, right? You either don't have one, maybe you have limited adoption on your sales process, but the higher level sales organizations all have a sales process, and the highest level organizations have a very dynamic sales process. So one of the things that I don't believe in is that salespeople are born, not created. I think there are absolutely personality traits and things like that that can go into making somebody more or less successful in a sales role. But I think sales, by and large today, is a science, not an art. So a lot of people feel that it's an art, not a science. I feel that's kind of reversed, especially with the technology that we have available today in systems like CRM. So having a process and a tool like CRM to manage the process is absolutely paramount. So we looked at an example back on a lead. It is available on opportunities as well, which is the sales process that you want your reps to follow in any given sales opportunity or maybe within a quote. So the sales process functionality within Dynamic CRM is super powerful, really pretty simple to set up, and can be applied to any type of record in the entire system. So another important factor, I feel, is to track the competitive pressures that you have. Maybe that's by market or by product, but making sure that you know when there is competition, and then also to be able to share competitive information across your sales team, and then to be able to track win and loss reasons and why. So we've done a lot of work around this, especially with our integration platform that's going to let you, flag competitors within quotes or opportunities. If you're selling multiple items on a quote, you might even want to take that competitive, management down to the item level, right? So you could win and lose certain items off of a quote, and you might want the ability to take that down to the item level, which we've done for a couple of our customers. So to add a competitor to a quote or opportunity is really pretty simple. There's a competitive database in Dynamics CRM, so I could just go in here and pull up a list. See if I have any in here. There we go. And I could pick, one or many competitors that I know are competing for this business. What's nice about this, again, is it's going to feed you the information that we talked about, your competitive win-loss, your competitive win-loss by rep and by territory, and so forth. So let me just go out here and I'll show you what a report looks like. So over time, when you feed this information into the system, you're going to be able to run a report. And by the way, this is a box report, something that you all have access to today, that's going to show you, all the opportunities that you've had competition on, and how many times you've won and lost, and what your win percentage is against each one of those competitors. So really, really, really good information to know about your about competition in general. So in the interest of time, I'm going to skip forward a little bit in the presentation. In our solution, our integrated platform, we have the ability to allow you to do really good quote and proposal follow-up. So for example, when a quote comes in from the ERP system, we can automatically put a follow-up process on that quote. A lot of our customers, they have us do it by dollars in the dollars on the quote, rather. So if it comes in and it's, above $1,000, they might want the outside account manager to follow up. If it's under $1,000, maybe we put it into a queue for the inside sales team. So talk about account management for a minute. Another important topic is, does your sales team know how to prioritize the accounts that they're spending their time in? A customer ranking process can definitely help here. And how does a sales rep evaluate an account and prioritize it? So if you look again back to some information from CSO Insights, that if you look at the percent of firms that meet or exceed expectations on account planning, look how those numbers skyrocket across those different levels of organizations, right? At the very basic level, they're seeing about 28% of firms that meet, their needs at account planning, going all the way up to 70% on level 4. So really, really impactful. And I'll just jump over to our system here and give me a second to get into our customer account. So in our integrated solution, we have, as I said, a customer ranking module. I'll just pull that up here for a second. And basically what happens is that every night we're doing ranking based on dollars in sales or dollars in gross profit. And it just goes through all of your customer accounts and automatically assigns them a letter rank from A to D based on that sales information. So you can watch your customers, going up or going down in rank based on dollars in sales, and then you can also have a process that runs on this information. So one of the more popular sales processes based on this ranking information is to enforce a certain level of interaction amongst your sales rep and an A account, for example. So maybe you want your A accounts to be visited every 30 days. So with this information, we can apply that process quite easily and make sure that your reps are meeting that requirement. All right, so last topic that I want to touch on today, and then we'll get to some questions, is around machine learning. Machine learning is becoming really popular. It's a popular topic amongst databases in general, but certainly amongst CRM. You're going to start hearing a lot of information about machine learning over the next probably 1 to 3 years. And basically, machine learning is the ability to take a whole bunch of data and put it into a computer and tell it what you want it to learn from that data. Microsoft has a great machine learning API that we use to do this right from within Dynamics CRM. So this technology is here today, something that you can leverage today. So a couple examples around machine learning are things like lead scoring. Okay, so you have a lead put in your system, and maybe you want the system to score that lead based on different things, like how many times have we been in conversation with the lead, how many times have they visited our website, how many emails go back and forth, and so forth. Maybe you also want to look at things like quote to order predictions or a customer churn prediction. These are all examples of machine learning. We've adopted one in our organization around sales opportunities where we're bouncing our pipeline off of machine learning, and based on about 15 different factors, machine learning is applying a probability to those sales opportunities. So here's an example of a lead scoring system. By the way, Quick Dimensions offers this right within their tool. They're doing lead scoring right within their tool. But again, things like website visits and activities logged and so forth could give you an indication, of how apt you would be to convert that lead over to an opportunity, for example. Excuse me. What we're doing is we're taking our pipeline and we're bouncing it off machine learning, and we're getting back a probability prediction based on, as I said, about 15 different factors. And it's really interesting to look at. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. It's really interesting to look at, what the rep projected probability is compared to what the probability percent that machine learning is coming up with. So if you'd like to talk a little bit more about machine learning and this model, definitely give me a call. It's a topic that I am personally very passionate about, and something that you're going to start hearing a lot about over the next couple of years. So that comes to the end of our scheduled session today, and it looks like time-wise we're right at our end time, so I thought we'd have some time for questions here. And John, I see that you've posted a couple questions from the group. Back to, you had asked a question, John, or somebody had asked a question about CRM 2013. Most of what you saw today is available to you in version 2013 and beyond. They've enhanced some of the functionality in versions 2015 and 2016, but most of what you saw today is available in version 2013. And if you have any specific questions, definitely feel free to reach out to me. And I'm going to go ahead and put my contact info back up on the screen here, in case you want to jot that down. Go back to our questions here. So another question that was asked was, can you make custom dashboards and share with specific users? The answer is absolutely. So when you go in and you create a dashboard, if you save it, you'll have the ability to share it as well. So with that, and the fact that I am losing my voice here, I think we'll go ahead and conclude for today's session. I really hope that you got some value out of today's session. Again, if you'd like to talk about any of the topics a little bit further, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. We will also have a recording of today's session, and we'll post that up on our YouTube and email you a link to it as well. So if you'd like anybody else in your organization to watch it, we will have that the recording available tomorrow. So again, Hope everybody has a fantastic afternoon, and really want to thank you for joining us today.